Sports Zone update.
Well, Packers OTAs are underway in Green Bay. The team was on the field for the first practice this morning. They've got 9 more over the next few weeks, including tomorrow when it will be open to reporters. They'll get their first look at several new faces on both sides of the ball, including linebacker Zaire Franklin. He got traded from Indianapolis this offseason. Figures to slot in as a replacement for Quay Walker, who left in free agency. While Franklin is a defensive player, it was the other side of the ball for the Packers that intrigued him and led to him ending up in Green Bay. Again, the Packers will be back in the field tomorrow for the second of their OTAs. Turning to Wisconsin, they got back to work today.
It starts with the quarterback. Jordan Love told him he was the main reason I came to Green Bay. I wasn't coming to Green Bay. We're going to an organization without a proven franchise QB, and he is that. He's the type of quarterback you want to be around. Great man in the locker room, competes every single day, is constantly working to get better. It's been a long time since I've seen, a QB1 just really raise and level everybody by his work ethic like that.
Summer workouts got underway. The program also has a big couple of weekends ahead with recruits coming on official visits. Expected to host 13 players this week, another 12 next week. Right now, their 2027 recruiting class ranks 18th in the country.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott, and together they will transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed, and managed for more people around the world. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for the Cologuard and Oncotype DX tests, allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
Well, the Brewers and Cardinals playing the second game of their series tonight in Milwaukee. The Crew took the opener yesterday behind more great pitching from Jacob Mizorowski. Teams will close out their series tomorrow afternoon. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil. Print.
Their last out with Alec Burleson coming up. Burleson pops it up. That is in play. Who wants it? Renihefo calls. And Brewers take game one against St. Louis. Miz, brilliant. And a 5-1 win against St. Louis on Memorial Day.
It's always fun to play baseball, so no, it's just another day.
Does that number mean anything to you? Is it surprising?
No.
Just another day?
Yeah, that's what I do. I throw hard, so.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
The final out yesterday, Luis Renifo making the catch at third. Mizorowski was great again, which I'll still contend we're underrating how good he's been. That'll continue tonight because what do you want? Do you want me to do 20 more minutes on how Jacob Mizorowski is good? We did a couple of those shows last week. Just the beat goes on for the great season that he's having, and especially the great month of May. Finally gave up a run, which I'm actually okay with. I get a little nervous anytime there are long streaks, because long streaks eventually have to come to an end. So I'm fine with them giving up a run. They won the game. Beautiful. They take the opener against the Cardinals. That's where we'll start tonight. I hope you had a nice long Memorial Day weekend. While, of course, also, recognizing the meaning for the holiday yesterday and those who have died in service of our country. Hope your work week now is back off to a good start. Bill back in today. I'll be back in the rest of the week. Back to normal. We can talk baseball. I was hoping that we'd be able to talk a little Packers tonight, and we still might because OTAs began today. So I came in today expecting, we'll get some practice reports and we'll get a little press conference audio, even if it's just, Matt LaFleur for 8 minutes. We'll find a nugget. We'll at least, do a segment or two on it. And then this morning I was crestfallen, I say, because I saw Matt Schneidman tweet this. Packers begin OTAs today, but the first open practice and media availability is tomorrow. Matt LaFleur will talk before practice and then open locker room afterwards. So we'll have plenty of Packers tomorrow, both on Bill's show. I know Mike's going to join tomorrow night. We'll get in. I know Zach's covering OTAs up in Green Bay this week as well. Zach Heilprin, our sports director, so we'll connect with him. So maybe we'll touch Packers a little bit tonight, but certainly hit it hard tomorrow with the first open practice and the open locker room and Matt LaFleur speaking, so we'll have plenty to discuss. A lot of baseball tonight and some weekend reaction. I was at the game on Saturday. I had a great time. Very fun. We left, I think, in the top of the 8th. The final score was 11-3. When we left, it was like, I don't know, what would it have been? 6-3. It was 4-3 for the longest time. It was very much in play, and we thought, maybe the Brewers could walk this off at the end. We were in for a dramatic finish. And I can't really complain about it because Pat Murphy never really does it. He kind of punted the game. He brought in Woodford, which is something you you don't see him do very often. You don't see Pat Murphy say, all right, we'll get him tomorrow. He should have done it again on Sunday. He pitched Drowan instead of Rodriguez, who was brought up basically just to eat some innings for them that day. So a little out of character on Saturday for Murph. I was fine with it. Good time at the ballpark. It was going to be tough to win a game started by Robert Gasser, although it was a pleasure to see him pitch in person because it's been a lifelong dream of, lifelong. It's been a 4-year dream of mine now running to see a player that was involved in the Josh Hader trade, and Robert Gasser, one of those. So an excellent time at the Brewer game on Saturday, a night that I will not soon forget, or maybe will soon have maybe already started to forget. I'll take your calls tonight on the Brewers 608-321-1670 and the live stream up and running as well. So appreciate all the people that watch and comment over there. It's fun. It's a good time. You can watch on the Wisco Sports Zone app, the show's YouTube page, my Twitter at Wisco Grant. Picking up where we left off on Friday, I said Friday, I think the Cardinals series is actually a bigger deal than the Dodgers series. Now, what does that mean? You know, how do you measure baseball games in May? It's difficult to do because even if the Brewers had been swept by the Cubs last week, there's still so much season left. Now, I think Brewers-Cubs games at this moment in time in 2026 should just mean more. It seemed like the Brewers treated them as though they meant more, and it seemed like the Cubs, I hear Ian Happ, it's a long season. It's just another game. We'll get it going eventually. Like, I'm glad the Brewers get up, or I'm glad at least they played well for the Cubs series. I would imagine behind closed doors they got up for it. I hope so. But other than the Cubs, who are their biggest rival, like, I don't know how we're supposed to weigh one series against another in May, but as much as you can do so, I'm more interested in the Cardinals series. I'm putting a little bit more value in the Cardinals series, which is going on right now for a couple of reasons. First being the Brewers won all of their games in the regular season against the Dodgers last year. Had they won something like 6 in a row or 7? I actually think I might have heard on the broadcast on Sunday, or maybe it was Friday, that the Brewers had won 9 straight regular season games against the Dodgers. So maybe that means they won 6 in a row because they swept them twice last year. I don't know if one of those was a 4-game set. So maybe they had beaten the Dodgers a bunch of times in the regular season. I don't need to see the Brewers beat the Dodgers in the regular season. I've seen it. I know that the Dodgers team that we saw this weekend will not be the Dodgers team most likely that we see in the playoffs if the Brewers get there and if they, if it were to happen again, just hypothetically. Because they'll be able to pull Tyler Glasnow out of the mothballs and Blake Snell out of the mothballs, because my biggest complaint really about the Dodgers isn't even payroll. It's the fact, I guess it's payroll related. It's the fact that they can build a team where they have, 2 or 3 of their best starting pitchers kind of just taking it easy all year because they can afford it. No Glasnow in that series. No Blake Snell. Now, they did see Yamamoto on Sunday, but that was another part of it. Like, I didn't really care too much about the results of Brewers-Dodgers because the Brewers could have swept them, and it still wouldn't have proven anything to me that hadn't been proven the last couple of seasons. I know the Brewers can beat the Dodgers in the regular season. The pitching also just didn't line up in a way that it's not that it wasn't advantageous for the Brewers. It's just straight up that it was going to be really difficult for the Brewers. The best starting pitcher they had going between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday was Logan Henderson. And I like Logan Henderson. By the way, he's going on the 15-day. We'll get to that later on in the show. I like Logan Henderson, but he's not exactly your ace. Right now, he's probably the 3rd best Brewer starter in the rotation. Well, now he's not because he's on the IL. But I would prefer Miz. I would prefer Harrison. And then we could have a discussion of whether or not you'd want Sproat on the mound or Henderson, who's been, if nothing else, very consistent. Right? Saturday was Robert Gasser versus Roki Sasaki, who I don't know that Roki Sasaki is anything incredible, but I know he's better than Robert Gasser. I know that. And Sunday, Brandon Sproat's shown you nice flashes. He's going up against, one of the best pitchers in the world, and Yoshi Yamamoto. Like, the Brewers were just going to be really hard pressed to win a game on Saturday or on Sunday. I watched the game on Friday, and I was with some friends. I said, okay, you know what? Like, you check that box. If you can get another one tomorrow or Sunday, great. If not, you've won 1 out of 3, and you have your studs lined up to go Monday against the Cardinals, Tuesday against the Cardinals, Miz, and then Harrison tonight. So the way that the pitching lined up and the history of the last couple of years just didn't have me, overly focused on the Brewers getting wins against the Dodgers. And also, if I could get 2 out of 3 over the Dodgers or the Cardinals right now, I'd want the 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals. The division standings right now are lining up in a way in late March that very few people expected. Needless to say, the Cubs have lost 9 in a row. We'll talk about that later on in the show, too. They are trailing off now. They're 4 behind, or 3.5 behind. But the Cardinals are the second place team in the division. If you had told someone in March, hey, the Brewers are going to be leading the division on May 26th, I don't think anybody would have been surprised. But I don't think a lot of people would have had the St. Louis Cardinals as the next closest team. They're 6 games over. And everybody keeps saying the Cardinals are going to fall off. The Cardinals will fall off. I don't think the Cardinals will for real. At a certain point, they're going to fall off. And what I keep saying is, well, maybe they need to be pushed. And you know what would be a great push is the Brewers coming out throwing Miz and then throwing Harrison. And I don't even know who they have scheduled tomorrow. I'm not sure. I guess I should know off the dome, but I don't. If the Brewers come out and win 2 or 3 or sweep the Cardinals, I'd much rather have that. That does a lot more for the standings in the division, as much as such thing matters on May 26th. That has a tangible effect on the division. That has a tangible effect on the continued trajectory of the Brewers in their division, and it has a big effect on the trajectory of the Cardinals. If the Cardinals come into this series and win 2 or 3 or sweep the Brewers, that's just another shot in the arm for a young team that doesn't know any better. They don't know what they don't know. We talked about this with Matt Pauley a couple weeks ago. There's something very powerful and very dangerous about a team that hasn't had the opportunity or hasn't had the experience of failure yet. It's hard to be a team that's expected to be good every year and to continue to be good and to be consistent and to not have a letdown and to continue to win games. That's hard. When the team is on the come up, that's easy. It's light, it's loose, it's fun. Look at us. We're winning games. There's great lighthearted energy. We don't feel the crushing weight of expectations. And we're not carrying around the disappointment of, seasons past on our shoulders. So the Cardinals have the vibes. They have the energy. And if they come into Milwaukee and they win 2 of 3, or God forbid they sweep the Brewers, it's like, okay, well, this is a division. This is going to continue to be a division. And I know it's early, but man, wouldn't it be great to just land a big body blow to the Cardinals, who were a team, again, very few people would have expected them to be 6 games over as we approach June 1st. So I care more about this Cardinal series. If the pitching would have lined up differently, I might feel differently. Like if the Brewers had Miz and Harrison and Henderson going against the Dodgers, well, yeah, then I feel differently. Then I have higher expectations for the team on Saturday and on Sunday. Yamamoto is always going to be a tough nut no matter who the Brewers ran out there to start, because he's really, really good. But the schedule lined up in a way to emphasize this Cardinal series. And again, I don't need to see the Brewers beat the Dodgers in the regular season. I've seen it before, and it's amounted to very little in the postseason. So I know this version of the Dodgers is not the team the Brewers are going to see, most likely, if they see them in the postseason. The Cardinals, this is a team you're contending with and dealing with in the division now. So I'm not at all upset with the way things went over the weekend for the Brewers. Now, it doesn't mean we can't nitpick certain things and use those games as topics and as discussion points for the show. I think there's a real discussion to be had, and there has been all year, but I think there's a real discussion to be had about the bottom of the order. And now I sneaky think there's a discussion to be had about the back end of the rotation. You love Miz, you love Harrison. And after that, like there's a lot to be settled and a lot to be decided. Logan Henderson, I think, is here to stay. He was put on the injured list earlier today. So now there's another question mark in the second half of the rotation. What's going on with Brandon Woodruff? I guess he has another live BP. What's going on with Quinn Priester? They just keep running him out there in rehab assignments. He keeps getting shelled and he keeps walking the lineup. And then the Brewers come out a couple days later. Yep, he's going to make another rehab assignment. Now we want to get him up and down 5 times. Now we want to get him up and down 6 times. It's like, hey man, he can't get out of the 3rd. I know you guys keep saying, well, we want to get him through 5. We want to get him through 6. He can't get through 3. So at a certain point, is it fair to wonder whether Quinn Priester is going to be able to pitch again, forget at a high level, but pitch again at the major league level at all this season? What kind of role does Coleman Crow play in the rotation long-term this year? What about Robert Gasser, who just hasn't looked all that good? And on Saturday, it looks like he was tipping his pitches. They could see the grips from behind him, like that whole debacle. Gary Sanchez was catching. Well, great. I was on the way to the ballpark when the lineup dropped. I'm like, oh, good. Gary Sanchez is catching tonight. That'll be a fun experience. So the back end of the rotation is a question mark. And I think the bottom half of the lineup is as well. What to do with Sal Frelick here? I know Joey Ortiz and David Hamilton and Luis Renifo take all the bullets. But Sal Frelick's been really disappointing as well. He's not giving you much in right field. Blake Perkins, if it's not Garrett Mitchell who's starting, Blake Perkins is hitting less than 100. He's not hitting less than his weight. He's hitting like half of his weight. He's hitting significantly less of his weight. So I think the back end of the lineup and the back half of the rotation, big question marks right now. Some things that we can discuss about this team. So we'll get into that as the show continues. The Brewers are winning. I'm not trying to sound the alarm on anything. The Brewers are winning, and it looks as though they will continue to win. I'm just saying with 2 of the 3 games over the weekend going the way that they did, and I thought the Brewers left a lot to be desired offensively yesterday. For as good as Miz was, Liberator, mostly had his way up and down with the lineup. The Brewers added on a little bit at the end, and they would have added on another if Christian Yelich had kept his foot down on the slide. That should have been another run. So they're hanging in there. They're scoring runs and they're winning games. Certainly at a much higher level than the Cubs are, who've lost 9 in a row. And, they're playing well enough to stay a couple games ahead of the Cardinals, to stay way ahead of the Reds. So I'm not saying the Brewers are bad. I'm not being Mr. Negative here. I'm just looking at parts of this lineup and parts of this pitching rotation, starting rotation specifically, and thinking, okay, how is the team going to navigate that? How is the team going to navigate this? The breaking news of the day, I'll just give it to you now before we take our first break. So Logan Henderson was placed on the 15-day with a low back strain. I'm no doctor. I would certainly prefer that to shoulder soreness or elbow soreness, but backs can be pesky. Who knows? Logan Henderson, if nothing else, has been Mr. Consistent. It's very rare to see a guy, come up from the minors, especially as often as Henderson has. It's like up, down, up, down. He'd be up for a couple starts, then he'd go back down. The Brewers have been reluctant to just turn over a spot in the rotation to him. But again, he's been nothing but consistent. He'll give you 5 or 6 innings, 2 runs or less, always has you in the ballgame, always gives you a chance to win. Friday night against the Dodgers, another outstanding example of that. So Henderson is out. Coleman Crowe is up. That's the 3rd time now that they've called him up from AAA. So that's 3 of his 5 options they've used this season already. And it's not June 1st yet. That's a complicated wrinkle in how they're going to manage this rotation moving forward. Yes, it's great to be able to call Coleman Crowe up to make a spot start, but you can only do that so many times. What do you do with Robert Gasser? Does Shane Drowan have a place maybe in the rotation? I know he's looked great in the bullpen. I don't want to move him, but maybe the Brewers feel at one point that they will have to. These are all things that are on the table. And of course, with a very positive theme and a positive tenor, because the Brewers beat St. Louis yesterday. They took 4 of 6 between the Cubs and the Dodgers. They swept I'd rather sweep the Cubs than take 2 of 3 and, win both series. 4 of 6 against both the Cubs and the Dodgers. Not too bad. And they're off to a good start with Mizorowski against the Cardinals yesterday, Kyle Harrison on the mound tonight. So that's where we begin. The show will work in an NBA postseason take here or there. If you have anything related to the Packers you want to hit, cool, we can do that as well. And I do want to spend a segment comparing some more audio of Craig Counsell and Pat Murphy, because the Cubs have lost 9 in a row. And I watched all of the Counsell pressers from the weekend. I'm a sucker, and I just want to compare and contrast a couple comments, because I think that's been an interesting story to follow, the continued approach and the differing approach of those 2 guys leading their baseball teams in a season so far this year that looks very similar to the last couple, with Craig Counsell down in Chicago and the Brewers pretty consistently beating them in the NL Central. So all of that on the table. I'll take your calls next. 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
He conditioned himself. You can tell all those young pitchers out there, you have to have a lower half. And he's put together a great lower half. And he's worked at it in his life. And now the delivery is sound. When the timing is sound, the delivery is sound. So at foot strike, the hand is in the right position. And then you take a kid with that extension, 7, whatever extension, and he's throwing the ball 100, and then God knows, 101, 102. And it's pretty easy. It's not max effort.
Pat Murphy on Jacob Mizorowski, who was everything the Brewers needed yesterday and then some. Christian Yelich with a big home run in the first inning. And then it was pretty quiet. It was pretty quiet. My brain is quiet today. A couple of pops Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And then yesterday, it's just out in the sun too much yesterday. I think I fished in the morning, played a round of golf in the afternoon. Oh, it's going to take me a couple segments to get my fastball back. Like Jacob Mizorowski, Brewers winning yesterday. And we're getting some details on how now they're going to proceed. Logan Henderson going on the IL. Looks like they're going to have a bullpen day tomorrow. Coleman Crow will then go on Friday. So we'll continue to talk about that. But your weekend reaction, probably the Brewers, but anything you want. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Put together a great lower half. Is there more detail there?
Are you talking about Murph's comment?
Yeah.
He bulked up his legs.
Interesting.
I mean, what's
there's a fine line. There's a fine line out there for a lot of, I guess, high school coaches, we'll say, right? High school, college-age athlete coaches.
Mm-hmm.
When you can't straight up go to your athletes and say, hey, I need you to have a bigger ass, dude. We got to work on this dump truck, man.
Yep.
But you can always tell, you can always tell who's been putting in the work and who's going to dominate on any sort of athletic surface. It's the ones who have put together their lower half, and we're not talking calves.
Yeah, their rump, their backside, as Al Michaels would say.
Yeah. Looking back at it, I don't know if there's a class action lawsuit or anything like that I could jump on, but there's probably somebody who said something inappropriate. But anyway,
looking back.
Moving on. Speaking of looking back at it, hey, you're more up to speed on the Brewers and kind of their roster moves and kind of long-term plans for the farm system. Do you know how much team control the Brewers have on Waylon Fletcher?
Who is that?
So Waylon Fletcher is 4 years old.
The kid. Yeah. I didn't see that video. That was cool.
Have you looked at his social media at all or watched any of those clips?
I haven't, but I know if that kid was Venezuelan, the Brewers would have him under contract already.
Whoa.
I mean, or Dominican or wherever. It's not just a Venezuelan thing. I mean, that's kind of the reality of how these baseball teams operate.
Milwaukee suburb. I mean, he's probably going to Duke, let's be honest. No, so Waylon Fletcher's dad, I don't know if anybody else, any other listeners have seen this stuff on social media, but his dad's basically been building him in a lab, a.k.a. the garage, of just like hand-eye coordination training. And as a former kinesiologist, I'm fascinated by this kid's early stage, just, ball to bat to ball, tracking, all these different swings. He's got him hitting both sides of the plate. And I'm just sitting here thinking, can we get this 4-year-old to come teach our shortstop how to hit a damn baseball? That might be pretty fun. But that's all I got, Grant. I was just curious to know And I like your point. If he was Venezuelan, we'd have him for another 20 years. But
Yeah.
since he's from Milwaukee suburb, I think he's probably going to Duke. We'll see.
Yeah, and Knippel would probably encourage him. I was talking about that with Zach last week, like Con Knippel talking with that other recruit's name. Don't ask me about kids' names and recruits' names today. But yeah, he would be going to Duke or possibly Kentucky or Iowa State. Really, anywhere other than Madison. Now, if he was from Middleton, okay, then maybe Greg Gard would be able to get him. The bottom half of the order, you mentioned Joey Ortiz. That's a thing that is not preventing them from winning games right now. Yes, I get it. But the thought is, months down the road in the postseason, I just don't know that this offense can afford automatic outs. If Christian Yelich and Contreras and Churio were all going to hit 30 home runs this year, and the top of the order was that potent, okay, well, then you can get by with, Sal Frelick hitting 240 or whatever it is in the 8th spot. But I don't know that any one of those individual hitters at the top of the lineup, although they're all having nice stretches and seasons, none of them are war machines by themselves. I think they need to get a couple more spots in the lineup that are at least competitive. And while Renifo and Perkins and Frelick have not been that, that's not being negative about the team. They're winning. Plenty of positivity from me today. I'm already hearing it on the text line. It's just things that the Brewers are going to have to figure out and tinker with and consider as the season goes along, which is why we're talking about it. We're talking about it. We're mentioning it. We're weaving it into the show. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant Bills, hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend.
I did. You as well, Cone Roller. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I had a couple high school graduations, so congrats to the class of 2026. Exciting times in their lives, big plans ahead.
I feel like Memorial Day weekend is really when they start up in earnest. I remember, that's when the first couple rounds are. They continue maybe into the second week of June, but the early ones, some people go earlier, which I always thought was crazy, but Memorial Day weekend is really like the unofficial start of summer and grad party season, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think I was at 4 or 5 grad parties this weekend and, just free food, free beer. It doesn't get much better than that.
A lot of pulled pork, I would imagine. At least that was always my experience.
Down in Yuma, Arizona, you get a lot of carne asada, Mexican food. So, even a little better in my opinion.
I would agree. I appreciate that. What's up?
Miz, want to talk about the Miz.
Yes.
I think we got to start looking at his inning count and capping it for this year. If the Brewers can hold on and win the division, which I think is very doable, they need Mizorowski to do anything in October. And you just need him. They're not getting anywhere without him. So keep him healthy any way possible. I think we got to start having that conversation on an inning cap, pitch count, whatever it is.
Well, Counsell would have done it, and we would have hated it. What game was it against the Cubs last weekend where he stopped after 6 and 7 innings? Yeah, in the 5-2 when he went 6 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. And then after the game, people were asking, Mizorowski only throws 74 pitches. And Murph was like, that's all he had. That's, I think especially if the Brewers are winning comfortably, occasionally, stop him at 6. We don't need the 7th or we don't need the 8th. There will be games certainly where it's worth it to get a win in a big spot. But I'm with you. If there's games where they don't need it, finding little ways to ration innings here and there, especially for Mizorowski, I think is crucial to this team, because if they do want to win postseason series, long way down the road, but things that you need to think about now. And this Brewers team, Cone, they're used to going to the playoffs. I don't think it's unfair to think about some of these things in May. It's not that he's a big part of it. He might be the biggest part of it. So having that guy healthy and at his best for as long as possible this year has got to be a big part of the math.
Yeah, and you shut him down. You not shut him down, but you limit him. You limit Harrison. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch going into a Dodgers series. So, it didn't work out too well this weekend. We kind of skipped them in the pitching rotation, but also I heard on a post game show, was that intentional by Murph to kind of hide Miz and Harrison from the Dodgers?
Yeah, and I don't know if you were listening Friday, Cone. I swear somebody brought that up. It might have been you. Well, you would remember. Somebody brought that up where it's limit the exposure of Miz to the Dodgers. I don't mind it. And I don't think it's ridiculous just because the Brewers have been so successful and they've been so consistent where I don't necessarily think about them oh my God, what if they blow it this year? They're off to such a great start. I just think we can kind of assume that they know what they're doing and how to navigate a regular season. So I don't think it's unfair to look ahead and to think about little things like that.
Right. And, anyone saying we're looking ahead too early, like it's Memorial Day. We can officially check the standings.
Yes.
Brewers are 2.5 games up. Keep that pace going. Sweep St. Louis. And, we're into October already.
I love this, Cone. I appreciate it. Have a good one, okay?
Yeah, and finally, last thing, I'll be 20 seconds or less. OTA starting, like, most important week of the year. Jordan Love, I hope he's going to be there building the relationship with his receivers because as we know from, 15 years in the past, it's so important for our quarterback to be at OTAs.
I love this, Cone. This is a great point. I will be on Jordan Love if he's not at OTAs. Appreciate the call. I will be consistent on that. I can't speak for every radio host. I will be consistent that Jordan Love needs to be at every day of OTAs. He needs to be at every team thing, organized, paid, or not. And you did mention Memorial Day, Cone. I'll get to one call. Just give me 20 seconds. Mention Memorial Day. We can finally check the standings. My favorite tweet of the last 24 hours is John Heyman, the Haymaker, last night. New York Post tweeting, Memorial Day is a good time to take stock of our local teams. Yankees are decent. Mets putrid. I don't know why that made me laugh. 608-321-1670. One more, and then we'll take a break. Let's go Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. This is Brett from Bondwell again. I hope you had a great weekend.
I did as well. I did. I hope you too, Brett. No. Go ahead.
I had a couple grad parties just like Cone. Did a little plaque maxing, on Shauna Lake. That was nice. I know you're an enjoyer of that.
I do.
Funny you bring up the bottom of the order troubles because I think Luis Rengifo, he is due. He is on the precipice of turning it around. He said, I looked at the stats. I'm looking at him right now. 260 average against righties. On base percentage is there. Power's not there. I think he'll hit a home run eventually. Hitting 370 against lefties. Oh no, never mind. That's his OPS against what? Anyway, but sure, he makes Luis Urias look like prime Nolan Arenado on defense, but I think there's a turnaround coming. I'm calling on all our Brewers fans next game or Wednesday. We got to give him a standing O. A little Trey Turner, show him some love and show him we support him, and that he's going to figure it out. He's right about to turn the corner.
I think, Brett, I'm just gonna. That was a perfect call. I don't want to taint it further. We're building our chemistry as host and caller. I don't want to step all over you. I don't think I have had frustration with a player as badly as I did Friday night watching Luis. It's Luis Rengifo, right? Why am I second guessing myself? I have never, this year, I haven't been as frustrated with the player as much as I have been with Luis Rengifo, watching him try to record outs at third base on Friday night. Was that in the 7th? It's like, okay. So he botched the one hit, leads to a run. He botched the liner, allows, I think it was maybe Teoscar Hernandez to get to first. And then he almost threw the other one into the dugout, and Vaughn makes an unbelievable play to close the inning. I'm like, we're running this guy out there, and he can't defend. And it's all for what? For someone with an OPS of 350? So these are the types of things we're talking about at the bottom of the lineup. Not really impeding the Brewers from winning games right now. It didn't necessarily help them on Saturday and Sunday, although I think they had bigger issues with Robert Gasser and Brandon Sproat. But these are the things that the Brewers are going to have to weigh and consider as the season goes along. Let's take a break. Cone Roller mentioned Mizrowski limiting his innings and limiting his exposure potentially to rivals who he could face in the postseason. I have a similar topic that I wanted to bring to the table today, except it's not about Mizrowski. It's about Brandon Woodruff. I will explain and we'll discuss next. The show presented by Road America. They normally sponsor Monday shows, but off yesterday. Road America, their schedule, their season is now up and running. Bill was broadcasting there. They had a private Porsche event last Friday, and he was giving us the sights and the sounds and the scenes. It looked absolutely beautiful. They're America's National Park of Speed, and as Bill always says, it's like a national park with a beautiful racetrack. Now, Superbikes and Vintage MotoFest is coming up this weekend, starting on Friday, and that'll run through Sunday. So tickets are available for that. I'm looking at their website right now. Click events. You can click Motorbikes and Moto America Superbikes and Vintage MotoFest. course, you can set up your camping. You can make it a long weekend. Now, we did have some of the folks from Road America on the show with Bill on Friday, and they did basically wanted to say, look, if you're planning on camping, reserve that as early as possible, especially if you have an RV, because they want you to have space, and they want you to have a space with power, right? Because that's actually what runs out first. John was explaining, we don't really sell out and we don't really fill up because there's so much room. But if you want an RV site or a campsite with power and water and all of those things, that stuff runs out. So if you know what weekend and for what event you're going to get over to Road America this summer, it could be this weekend for Super Vikes and Vintage Motorfest, the sprints in June on June 5th through the 7th, the AMR Grand Prix, like all the IndyCar series, all that stuff. If you know what you're going for and you've got your tickets yet, reserve camping, because that way you have the best opportunity for, the best site with the most amenities. Otherwise, you might be relegated to like an overflow spot, and you might not have everything that makes your camping experience the best possible. I'm sure it would still be great, but if you know you're camping and you know when you're going, reserve that now. Do the opposite of what I do with hotels for weddings, which is wait until the last possible day and then call and be like, you got anything left? Any chance it's cheaper than $400? Because I guess that's what it costs for a hotel room. Road America, roadamerica.com, America's National Park of Speed. We'll be right back. I want to talk Brandon Woodruff.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin weather doesn't ease you into spring. It keeps you guessing. That's why your windows and doors need to handle everything. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, we build for year-round comfort. Get the look you want for the home you love with 0% financing options available. So you can upgrade now and pay over time. Plus, enjoy a free at-home consultation, expert installation, and a 10-year limited warranty. Schedule today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Offer expires May 31st, 2026.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. Happy to have you here. We're talking Brewers. I was hoping to have some Packers on the table tonight, and we might. There's still an hour and 20 minutes left in the show. We might get there because OTAs began today, so I was excited. I went golfing with a buddy yesterday, and my job is very hard to explain. Like the friend who I was with, he's a realtor. It's such an easy day. You got any showings? Where are the showings? What are the houses like? Any tricky client? Like, just so easy, right? Like we can chat about that. He's like, how's work going to be this week? And I never know how do I tell someone, how do I explain that to someone? Now, like if I was hanging out with Cone Roller and Mike Clemens and they ask, how's the show going to be this week? I can tell them things that they'll you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's good. Packers OTAs and, Matt LaFleur press conference. That'll mean something to them. If I tell a civilian, oh, how's work going to be this week? Well, I don't know. Brewers are off on Thursday, so hopefully Giannis posts something on his Instagram story. Like, this job's so stupid. But my buddy asked yesterday, how's work going to be this week? And I remembered, oh my God, Packers OTA starts tomorrow. It's going to be so easy because we'll have Packers news. Matt LaFleur will have a press conference, and that'll give us something. And so I was excited for that today, but there's going to be no media availability and no public practice until tomorrow. So while OTAs begin today, no players will speak with the media until tomorrow. No practice will be publicly available for the media until tomorrow. Matt LaFleur speaks before practice tomorrow. So we'll get to that tomorrow night. We're talking Brewers. I want to talk about Brandon Woodruff for a couple minutes. I am no doctor. I've never played baseball. And I'm not in the clubhouse every day. So I'm looking at this thing from I'm looking at this thing from like 20,000 feet, right? Following the situation with Brandon Woodruff. When he left that game, how long ago was that now? I should have pulled this up over the commercial break, but I was looking for something else. He left that game because his arm was dead. He couldn't feel it. And he was throwing like 85 miles per hour. The last time he pitched, for reference, was Thursday, April 30th. It has been almost a month. It'll be a month Thursday since Brandon Woodruff's pitched. Now, after that game, based on what we were told and what his test results showed and how much of that was communicated to us, I guess I assumed this wouldn't really be that long. I had low expectations and plenty of I guess, hesitance to think he was going to come back and all of a sudden throw 95 and be perfectly healthy the rest of the year. I didn't think he was going to be out a month or longer. He has not begun a rehab assignment yet. In fact, we learned today, and I'm pulling this all up on the fly, but that's okay. I can multitask. I'm the executive producer of the Bill Michaels Show, for God's sake. Kurt Hogue, earlier today, Logan Henderson's return is estimated mid-June. He's put on the IL with back tightness today, 15-day. Quinn Priester will pitch on a rehab assignment tomorrow. Brandon Woodruff is scheduled for a 4-inning live batting practice next week. Next week. Now, I don't know if Woodruff will have a rehab assignment. I guess I would assume so. He hasn't pitched in live games forever, so I would think so. So if he throws a 4-inning BP next week and then goes on any sort of rehab assignment, we're talking about 6 or 7 weeks until he comes back, which is a long time, which is much longer than I thought at first. Now, that shoulder is complicated and it's tricky, and they want to be careful. And I'm not saying that the injury isn't real, and I'm not saying that he's dogging it. Here's what I think. Here's what my gut is telling me. That Brandon Woodruff realizes that his arm is in a tricky spot, and this injury is in a tricky spot, and he might not have a lot of ammo left in that gun. Might not be a lot of bullets left in that arm. And Brandon Woodruff, for all of his successes, and even the last couple of seasons, been in and out with injury. When he's pitched, he's been really good. Even through all that, what's the one thing that he hasn't done? What's the one thing that you think would eat at him? And if you were to tell him, well, you've dealt with injuries the last couple of years, but Brandon, you've been a productive player through it all for the Brewers. What would he say? Oh, shoot, I'd love to, help the team in one of these playoff spots. You know what? I think Brandon Woodruff, and I think the team, I think they're taking their sweet time. Why? Why would we rush Brandon Woodruff back to pitch in the first week of June? Why? Why would we do that? We know that he could probably come back and do it. We don't need to see that. I'm not suggesting the Brewers are going to hold him out the rest of the year and bring him back for the playoffs. I'm saying, why would they rush? This is an opportunity to just move him a month and a half into get us a month and a half closer to the playoffs without his arm falling off, which is what's happened in each of the last couple of years. And you know what I was thinking about? And I was screaming all over my email and all over the internet to try to find this quote, because I remembered it. I remembered him saying this, but I couldn't remember when, and I couldn't remember for what reason. It was after his first outing of the season, which, according to my email here, was at March 31st. Yes, against the Rays. They won that game 10-2. He pitched 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, no walks. Pretty solid. That'll play. It's not elite. Doesn't need to be. Kyle Harrison and Jacob Mizorowski are the top of the rotation guys. And I remembered either slightly before, slightly after that game, Brandon Woodruff being asked about whether or not he wanted to do a rehab start in Nashville because he was nursing that injury coming into the year. We didn't think necessarily he'd be ready right away for the beginning of the year, and he was. And he was asked, why didn't you want to pitch in Nashville first, or Appleton, or wherever? Why did you want to just come do it in the major leagues? And I remembered, I had this in my head. He said something about, I didn't want to waste bullets. If I was going to be shooting bullets, I didn't want to waste them in the minors. I didn't want to waste it on a rehab assignment. This is the comment. I found it. God bless Mike Clemens and my clever ability to search through emails a certain time frame. Brandon Woodruff saying, if I was going to use bullets, I wanted them to be in the major leagues. Here's Woodruff post-game after his first start of the year. This is March 31st.
If I was going to use bullets, I didn't want to use them in the minor leagues. I was recovering. I'd kind of mentioned that before. And I wanted to be here with the guys. It's a good feeling breaking camp and getting here and just being with everybody. And it was just a good feeling for me. And I really wanted to do that. And, I with the pitch count I was at, if I couldn't get through 5 innings, then that's on me.
So Brandon Woodruff, it's really the first quote that I wanted to.
If I was going to use bullets, I didn't want to use them in the minor leagues.
Who says if I'm going to use bullets, I don't want them to be in the minor leagues? Who would say that? Someone who believes they have a limited number of bullets. You don't conserve ammo if you think you have an unlimited supply of ammo, right? Saying I didn't want to waste bullets implies that I only have so many. So the first time we heard Brandon Woodruff talk this year, after a game at least, he's hinting at the idea that, like, yeah, I only got so much in this arm of mine, this right arm of mine. So now I'm thinking about this injury that he has and how patient they're being, and he's throwing another BP, and they're not rushing him back. I don't know. I think they might just be content. In a perfect world, Priester comes back and is good. Mizrowski, Harrison keep being good. Henderson keep being good. And then, whatever in the final spot of the rotation, if it's, Coleman, Crow, or Sproat, probably. Sproat improves and continues to pitch well. They can bring Brandon back whenever they want, and they don't need to lean on him too much, and he can be fresh and able to actually pitch in the postseason, which if I'm Brandon Woodruff, like my whole year, my entire season, and the way that I'm rehabbing or the way that I'm working out, the way that I'm building my pitching plan for this season, how am I ready to go October 1? What do I have to do to be ready and in my best shape and able to pitch October 1? And I think that's driving a lot of their decision-making around Brandon Woodruff. That's not me suggesting that he's dogging it. I don't know. I don't think that's it. I think they're being strategic, and they're an organization that, has enough starting pitching depth. Some of it's hurt right now. Some of it's in, AAA, Quinn Priester trying to figure it out. But they're an organization that has the depth and the experience of navigating a regular season where if they want to handle Brandon Woodruff in that way, I'm fine with it. But I just get the sense that it's like, hey, man, it's okay. We don't need you to pitch in the month of May and into June. See if we can get you back in July, and then we get to the All-Star break. I think October 1st is the goal for Brandon Woodruff, and I don't blame him, and I don't blame the team one bit. We'll come back on the other side. Final thoughts of the hour. I'll get to some texts as well.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I thought it was very good. Everybody immediately just looks at the velo, and the velo was, 92, 93. There's nobody in the stadium. It's 12 o'clock in the morning. Is 12 o'clock considered the morning? Huh? Did you not understand my question? It was pretty simple. Like, is noon, 12 o'clock, is that the morning? Is that still considered this morning? So your answer is no? Yeah, I would have just taken a yes or no. You had to go into that. Yeah, well, this morning he threw the ball pretty well.
Pat Murphy on Brandon Woodruff's last throwing session. He's going to throw a simulated BP next week. He's not going to be back here for at least a couple weeks. And I just think they're building the plane this season with Brandon Woodruff around the idea. How can he be healthy and good and able to pitch in the playoffs? And I don't blame him. It's not me saying they're dogging it. Although I guess maybe they are, but I'm saying they're doing it for an acceptable reason. They're doing it ethically. Jay Krebs earlier in the show. Some text here before we take our break and get to Zach's update. They're on pace for 98 wins. You have to realize there's 0 perfect teams in baseball. The Brewers are one of the best teams in baseball. They just do it in an unconventional way. People don't see through it. You need to be better, Grant. All right. Team's great. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Is that what you want? And we got to talk about something. Nolan says, hey, Grant, if you can make one move to set the Brewers on par with the top of the league, what's the move? That's the thing when it's like, should the Brewers go all in at the trade deadline? They could add an awesome player at any given spot, and it's not going to put them on par with the Dodgers. No singular move would. I would love a third baseman that could hit some home runs, or another outfielder that could hit some home runs. It's not always that simple, the trade deadline. Chris in Oregon, says, I think they withheld Miz from the Dodgers because he could go scoreless for 6 and we might still lose. But he's a guaranteed win against the Cardinals, and it helps us in the division. Appreciate it, Chris. Yeah, I guess I'd have to go back and look. I don't know that they manipulated the rotation. They scooted guys back so they could play at Wrigley, I think. They wanted Sproat, Miz, Harrison at Wrigley. I don't know if that extended to this. I don't know. I'd rather win the Cardinals games. As I said, that was my lead on Friday's show, or maybe the end of Friday's show. It was my lead tonight. I'd rather win 2 or 3 against the Cardinals than the Dodgers. Beating the Dodgers does nothing for me. It's not that I don't care. It's not that I wouldn't want them to beat the Dodgers. I'd rather take 2 or 3 from the Cardinals. It means more in the division. And plus, you could go out and beat the Dodgers by 33 straight games. It just doesn't do much for me. It doesn't matter. Nate Naciola says, thank God they didn't just send Logan down again. Well, they sent him to the IL instead. He's going to be there for 15 days with a low back strain. So welcome back, Coleman Crow. He might be here a little bit. Quinn Priester's throwing another rehab assignment. I think the Brewers are operating like Quinn Priester's going to be back before too long. I don't know, man. They keep saying, we want to get him through 5, and he goes 3. We'd love to see 6, and he goes 3.2. And I know it's all a process of getting that feeling back in his hand. We'll see. I'm not sure. But between Coleman Crow, Robert Gasser, Chad Patrick, who you don't want to take out of the pen, but at a certain point you might have to, or he just pitches out of the bullpen in a bullpen day, which is what they'll do Friday, it sounds like. Or tomorrow, excuse me. Coleman Crow would then go Friday. We'll get Zach's update. We'll continue the Brewers talk. I have an NBA thought from the weekend as well, and anything that goes on with the Packers as OTAs get underway today. But first, 2 minutes, the Wisconsin headlines from Zach Heilprin, our sports director. No commercials. We'll be right back.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers look to extend their lead in the NL Central tonight as they face the Cardinals in the second game of their 3-game series. Milwaukee took the first game yesterday afternoon behind an impressive effort from Jacob Mizorowski, boosted their lead on St. Louis to 2.5 games and 3.5 games on the Cubs. Brewers playing good baseball, have won 7 of the last 10 games, but Christian Yelich understands it's still May.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice little start, but it still really doesn't mean a whole lot. We got 110-something games to go. A lot can happen, and, we haven't really talked about it or really thought much of it because we've been through it a lot before and realize how well you have to play for a really long time to get where you want to go. So realize that there's 4 months left to play and a lot can happen. So you got to, still be on top of things and not take anything for granted.
Kyle Harrison will get the ball for the Crew tonight. He's 5-1 with a 1.77 ERA. The lefty's given up just 3 earned runs in his 4 starts in the month of May. Cardinals will counter with Michael McGreevy, 3-3. allowed 3 runs over 5 innings in his last start. First pitch at American Family Field is set for 6:40.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott, and together they will transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed, and managed for more people around the world. They continue to help patients and health providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform the approach cancer. No, the Cologuard and Oncotype DX tests allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
Well, the Packers were on the field for the first OTA session today. It's the first time they've been able to do any live 11-on-11 work. They've got a total of 10 practices here over the next 3 weeks, along with a mandatory minicamp next month. And Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update from Zach Heil, Print.
Their last out with Alec Burleson coming up. Burleson pops it up. That is in play. Who wants it? Rengifo calls, and Brewers take game 1 against St. Louis. Miz, brilliant. And a 5-1 win against St. Louis on Memorial Day.
I mean, it's always fun to play baseball, so no, it's just another day.
Does that number mean anything to you? Is it surprising?
No,
Just another day?
yeah, that's what I do. I throw hard, so.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2, the show tonight, presented by Inn on the River in beautiful Trempealeau, Wisconsin. I think Tony in Texas a week or two ago called in and asked if I had seen, how did he describe it? That Wisconsin podcast where they talk about Wisconsin things, and I think it's the Travel Wisconsin podcast. A couple ladies, they do a fine job. And I saw in one of the recent breakout clips they posted, they were talking about Wisconsin's most underrated cities or hidden gems, maybe it was. And one of them was Trempealeau. Trempealeau is perfect for that category, by the way. I think Wisconsin has, countless underrated places, but Trempealeau, I think by many is, talk about hidden gems. Beautiful, beautiful hidden gem right there on the Mississippi River. And if you stay at Inn on the River, you will look out your room and you will look at the river and the bluffs and the wide expanse of the water right there. It's a wide, beautiful part of the river. The marina is right there. So if you bring a boat, couldn't be more convenient. Sullivan Supper Club, the Trempealeau Hotel, both in walking distance. If you want to enjoy the nightlife or some live music or a traditional supper club experience, they have a great salad bar at Sullivan's on top of many outstanding different things. Trempealeau Mountain Golf around the corner, Perot State Park. If you want to drive 30, 40 minutes, oh boy, things open up for you even more. You could go down to La Crosse. You could go north towards Danziger, towards, well, not nearly as far, El Morro. You could go up towards Nelson. There's some beautiful spots up there. It's just a great place to spend a weekend, and Inn on the River can be your headquarters. InnOnTheRiverWI.com, 608-534-7784, and do both. Like their Facebook page, Inn on the River Trempealeau. Before we go any farther, I just want to take one phone call. And then I have a Craig Counsell, Pat Murphy thing that I want to discuss. You may have lost it in the shuffle this weekend. I certainly didn't. The Cubs lost their 9th straight yesterday. We'll discuss that. I want to continue to compare some comments from Murph and from Counsell. But first, just one call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's Darnell.
I figured this was you, Darnell. What a perfect time to slotch in.
Yeah. Hey, anytime we can talk some Brewers, I'd love to do it. Have you mentioned, I haven't listened at all to the first hour, have you mentioned at all the Brewers social media team?
No, I haven't. I think they do a great job.
Okay.
I think their video team is the balls.
Yeah. That video that they put out right around noon today was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Just the slow motion work and switching between, I don't know, A+, like perfectly done by that. Whoever put that together needs a raise, because that was fantastic.
They do some cool stuff. Like they have different ideas on how to edit things together. It's always a satisfying watch.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I have my wife's family's from Chicago, so I have some cousin-in-laws. I don't know what exactly you call them, that are big-time Cubs fans.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a wedding a couple weeks ago with them, and we were just kind of shooting it back and forth. Brewers are going to be getting some of their guys back. That's what we were talking about. And all of a sudden, yes, the Cubs in free fall here, and the Brewers, doing Brewer things, winning 15 out of 21, right? So they have been very quiet in the cousin group chat here over the last couple of days, and I decided to stir the pot a little bit this afternoon. I just said, "So how's everyone doing?" And I got a bunch of middle finger emojis. So
rude.
If you're wondering how Chicago Cub fandom is doing right now, they're not doing so good.
So what annoys me, Darnell, is because I'm always watching Sam Olber's stuff, and then when the Cubs lose, I'm searching every Cubs piece of content I can find. I get a lot of Cubs accounts now popping up on my For You tab, and there's a big portion of Cubs fandom that's like, I just can't wait for this losing streak to be over so people can stop overreacting. So many people are so miserable, and I just can't. I don't understand those types of baseball fans. Like, if you're someone who's going to watch a team every day, you should react every day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I don't want the bell curve shrunk to, the Brewers won. Well, they haven't proven anything yet in the playoffs. Oh, the Brewers lost. Well, who cares? It's a long season. Well, then just check the newspaper every day and bug off. Like, then don't participate in the daily discourse on Sports Talk Radio and on Twitter. I can't stand those people, with all due.
Well, and all due respect, of course, it's a 162 game season. If you're just playing what was your month record, then sure, all right, whatever. But yeah, you have to get into every little win streak, and every 4 out of 5 is like, the biggest deal in the world, because that's what baseball is, right? You get on these little runs, or you get on these big runs, and that's where things can get really exciting. You have a streak of 8 or 9 or 10 straight, and then you have a streak of 9 straight where you lose, and then that just destroys your entire existence. But it's worth it for the 10-game winning streaks that you get every once in a while too.
Yeah,
it's a streaky game, not just from a wins and losses perspective, but from people at the plate, right? Like, look at Rengifo. He had like a streak a couple weeks ago where he had like 7 or 8 hits in 15 at bats, and he's back to being crap again. It's just how the game goes. So, actually, did he not just have like a 3-hit game yesterday? I might be.
He might
remembering differently.
He might have. I don't know. I'm just kind of out on some of these guys. They are quite literally, I think, placeholders. For some of the people coming up.
That's the other part about, especially Brewers baseball, which is just like, all right, well, a year from now, I don't think we're going to be talking about Ortiz or Rengifo or, even Perkins. That seems to be a hot topic today on Twitter, but we're not going to have to worry about that because we've got all these, young studs that are coming up in the minors. So, really exciting times to be a Brewers fan. Not as exciting of a time to be a Cubs fan, and I know that personally. Through some family connections.
You lead us right into our next conversation, Darnell. Appreciate it. Have a good softball game tomorrow night if I don't talk to you. Yeah, the Cubs pace has been shaken up a little bit. I saw one of the Cubs accounts. I'm going to assume this is correct. This would be a weird thing to wake up or make up. But 15 games ago, the Cubs were on pace for 112 wins. Now they're on pace for 87. I think the Cubs probably end up winning 90. Honestly, we'll see. Or 87, 89, 90. It's just similar to last year. Are you going to be able to beat the Brewers? Are you going to be able to find a way to beat that team? And they haven't been able to. They have 2 10-game winning streaks. Now they have a 9-game losing streak. And I just cut a couple of comments from Craig Counsell. I watched his media availability over the weekend because, come on, I'm obviously going to watch that. And this was his comment, and he hints at the 10-game winning streaks in kind of a weird way. Like, Counsell's he's a weird dude, man. Just listen to this.
There's no script to a season. It's not going to go a certain way. Just because yesterday went this way doesn't promise you anything tomorrow. Like, maybe those are all cliches, but it's great about it. It's great about it. It's why you guys are all here. So that's just part of it. And it keeps teaching you good lessons too. It teaches you that, in that 10-game streak and that 4-game series against the Reds, when you caught every break and you just thought you were really good, maybe you just caught a lot of breaks.
So, first of all, I've kind of noticed with Counsell, like I think when he's in a corner, when the team's not playing well, or when he's in an uncomfortable position, I hear a lot from him. It's like, well, that's the beauty of this game is it challenges you. And I remember when he came back to American Family Field 2 years ago, and he was asked about the possibility of being booed, and he said something along the lines of, whatever, boo, cheer, do whatever. It's just have fun at the baseball game. It's like, okay, Craig, but you're not making $8 million to have fun. The part of that comment that made my ears perk up a little bit was the last couple of things that he said.
In that 10-game streak and that 4-game series against the Reds, when you caught every break and you just thought you were really good, maybe you just caught a lot of breaks.
That's kind of saying the quiet part out loud, because as the Cubs have lost more and they've looked worse over the last 2 weeks since that second of the 10-game winning streaks, I see people pointing out on Twitter, it's like, well, maybe the 10-game winning streaks were the facade. Maybe those were the mirage. And then the manager kind of comes out and says it. Also, and this would drive me nuts if I'm a Cubs fan, and I've seen our friend Sam Olber tweet about this, who was on last week. It's like, well, anybody can turn in a lineup, go lose a baseball game, and then go to the podium afterwards and say, yeah, that's baseball. We'll see if it works tomorrow. It's a lot of luck involved. It's like, okay, well then what do you do? What do any of these coaches do? You went 20-3 in a stretch, and the manager's takeaway is this.
In that 10-game streak and that 4-game series against the Reds, when you caught every break and you just thought you were really good, maybe you just caught a lot of breaks.
I just don't know. I just find it interesting. Another Craig Counsell thing that struck me over the weekend. He was talking about a lack of scoring opportunities. This was in his post-game presser after yesterday's game. So after they had lost to the Pirates, they lost 2-1. And basically he just talks about we didn't create enough scoring opportunities, but there's one thing in here that I want to key on specifically and compare it a little bit to something that Pat Murphy said recently.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much today. We didn't create scoring opportunities. And that's first. We got to create scoring opportunities. We didn't create any scoring opportunities. Certainly none to get an inning started. We created a bases loaded 2 out scoring opportunity. Miggy ended up with drew a walk, and then Dansby struck out. But that's the only opportunity we created, and that's just not enough. And that's not going to win you games.
So nothing that he says there is incorrect. And they didn't create a lot of scoring opportunities. They only had so many runners on base. But it's something that he said in the middle that made my ears perk up, because as the Cubs keep losing and the Brewers keep winning, I'm not just doing this to be petty. I'll sprinkle in some Craig Counsell audio, or I'll mix in, a Cubs topic into the show, because it's a big story. This is the Brewers' rival. They are managed by the former Brewers manager, who is very different than the Brewers' current manager. And I think it's interesting. I think a lot of you agree. The similarities and the differences between Pat Murphy and Craig Counsell and the approaches and these two teams, and, kind of how their seasons are intertwined and how they play off of each other. So when I noticed something, I said, oh, that's interesting. I'll bring it to the show. He talked in the middle of that answer when he said, we didn't create enough scoring opportunities. He said this in the middle, and this is what I kind of circled.
Certainly none to get an inning started. We created a bases loaded 2 out scoring opportunity. Miggy ended up drew a walk, and then Dansby struck out. But
so he said, certainly no scoring opportunities to begin an inning. We had a couple opportunities with 2 outs, but whatever. Just kind of minimize 2 out scoring opportunities. And I circled that. I thought, now wait a minute. What did Pat Murphy say a couple weeks ago when he was asked, hey, you guys have a lot of runs that are scored with 2 outs? This might have been a month ago or so. Might have been during I think it might have been during the Yankees series. Maybe I can go back and find it, but I found the cut. And it's Pat Murphy asked about, hey, why are you guys so good at scoring with 2 outs?
That's exactly what it is. It's relentless. These guys know that the 2 outs means you're 2/3 done with the inning. That's it. That third is a lot. There's a lot left. 2 outs for them too today. 2 outs, proved to be yesterday too. 2 outs proved to be a big part of every game. So it's a nice thing to have.
So you have Craig Counsell talking about, well, we didn't create any scoring opportunities. I guess we created a couple with 2 outs, but whatever. 2 outs, what are you going to do with that? And then I dig up some Pat Murphy audio from a month or so ago, recently, where he's like, hey, 2 outs is 2 outs, man. There's plenty of inning left. There's a lot left, right? And I'm like, okay, the more I just obsessively listen to Craig Counsell pressers because, well, I'm a loser, sure. It's true, but it's entertaining. Of course I'm going to, the Cubs lost again. Let's see what Counsell had to say after the game. Duh! And he's talking about not scoring and not creating scoring opportunities. Well, we created a couple, but they were with 2 outs. And then I'm like, yeah, remember what Pat Murphy said about 2 outs scoring? There's so much inning left. 2 outs is just 2 outs. And I think the psyche extends to the team in both instances. I also heard Craig talking about, I don't know if Clemens sent this audio or not, but Craig over the weekend talking about these are the types of stretches that us as coaches look forward to. These are the types of stretches where we can do our best work, where we can teach and when we can coach. These are some of the best times for coaches. I'm like, dude, I think you are grasping right now at straws big time. I think you're reaching. It's the same when Craig said, hey, this is why it's fun. This is why you guys follow. It's the ups and the downs. It's like, okay, dude, but this team isn't supposed to suck balls. What are you talking about? It's just, again, I would get Cubs fans' frustration. It's like, so is it all just luck? Well, a baseball season doesn't have a script. No, Craig, no one's saying it has a script. Can't you guys go out and win some games?
There's no script to a season. It's not going to go a certain way. Just because yesterday went this way doesn't promise you anything tomorrow.
He's just unloading the platitudes. And I have, Joe Madden could pull that off. If Joe Madden started quoting, I don't know, pick whatever. If Joe Madden started quoting Robert Frost, I'd be like, okay, yeah, Joe Madden seems like a pretty well-read, kind of heady guy. Phil Jackson, another great example. If Phil Jackson came in and started quoting, why can't I think of the author that I'm trying to think of? It would be the funniest example. If Phil Jackson came in and was quoting Kerouac, that's it. If Joe Madden came in and cited a Kerouac chapter on why he's starting someone at third base, he'd be like, okay, there's probably something there. If Craig Counsell comes to the podium and cites Hemingway or something of the like on the team's recent struggle, if I'm a Cubs fan, I'd say, okay, they're porked. That guy, they're boned. They're absolutely boned. That guy's not Phil Jackson. That's not Joe Madden. That's Craig Counsell, who's got the charisma of a calculator. And one of the old ones, because the new ones are pretty fancy. One of the old ones, a Casio one with a little solar panel on the top. The one that you'd always have in the junk drawer, but you'd never be able to find when you need it. I don't know. I don't buy that for a second. I don't think the players do either. Little Craig Counsell, Pat Murphy comparison to begin hour number 2. If you have any Brewers thoughts, I'll take your calls next. 608-321-1670. Going to sprinkle in some Packers talk and some basketball topic points. Last night, we have the first half of the NBA Finals is set. The Knicks are going to be there. The West remains the more interesting series. We wait to see that result. All of that on the table and your phone calls next. 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Why would they be so hesitant to give Sal Frelick a break, but put him in some sort of timeshare with Luis Lara, who we have also talked about as having an incredible season at AAA?
Does that fix it? I don't think that
Well,
fixes it for
none
anyone.
of this is a fix. None of this
Yeah.
is a fix. But what you need, Kurt, what my overriding thesis here is, no one's going to hit 20 home runs, like I said. So
You did
at the
too.
very least, you got to have 9 guys who are going to hit 10.
Mhm.
And I don't care about the actual home run numbers, but you got 9 threats.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
now they have 6 threats, maybe 7. But with Frelick, it's a really good point. When Frelick is in there too, with pick 2 of the 3 guys, Ortiz, Hamilton, Rengifo, that lineup isn't going to play. Like it's going to run into teams where the pitching is good enough, and you're just going to have 3 automatic outs.
J.R. Radcliffe, Kurt Hogue, the Microbrew Podcast. Start to wind down our Brewers talk here. It's a good point. And I think Turang, I disagree with JR. I think somebody gets to 20. I think Turang might hit 20 or Yelich might hit 20. Depends on if he can stay healthy. I think somebody will hit 20, but that's not the point. If you don't have Kyle Schwarber in the meat of your order or Ohtani, if you don't have MVP Yelich, and what you have at the top of your lineup is 3 or 4 nice players, which I think is what they have right now, your bottom half of the lineup can't be automatic outs. And at times that's what they've been. And against elite pitching like Yamamoto on Sunday, those are the types of arms you're going to see, Christopher Sanchez, the Phillies, or arms like that in the postseason. You can't have automatic outs. What you need then is 9 competitive hitters. And I don't think they have that right now. Sal Frelick has been, you heard JR there mention Sal Frelick. Sal Frelick has been so disappointing this year. And it's frustrating because Sal Frelick at his best would really be the exact type of player they need in the second half of the order. The unfortunate reality with Sal Frelick, and I guess I'll give you the stats to maybe back up my fear here, is that for the most part in his major league career, he's been a fine player. He's been an average to below average player. So in 2024, which was his first season in the majors, he had 259. His OPS was 655. Like, it's just not, it's not going to do it. Now, last year he hit 288. That version of Sal Frelick will play. If Sal Frelick's hitting 280 and up, okay, that's fine. That will play. So earlier, Bill is like, well, Sal Frelick in the last month or so has his average up to 240 or whatever. Now, it's not on the season. His average is at 217 right now. I don't know what he is in like the last, I suppose I could find it. But Bill's point was over the last couple of weeks, Sal Frelick's average is up approaching 250. And that's fine, but the type of player that Sal Frelick is, he needs to be 270 or above, really like 275, 280 or above, because he's not going to give you much pop or power or production if he's on base constantly and he's taking his walks. That's different. Now, last year's version of Sal Frelick, that's it. 288, like that will play. Bunch of stolen bases, not too many strikeouts. 2024 Sal Frelick, not good enough. So far this year's Sal Frelick, not good enough, because not only are you not getting home run and pop and power, you're not exactly getting great at bats. You're getting a lot of balls that are drilled directly into the ground. So what do we do with that third outfield spot? I mean, what do you do at 2 of the 3 outfield spots? Churio's one. What about the other 2? Garrett Mitchell is still a long way off from being an everyday player, let alone a good everyday player. I think he's been better than I thought so far this year, and he's had some timely hits the last couple of weeks, which has helped. But there's a spot or 2 in the outfield to be figured out, and there's 2 spots in the infield to figure out. It's just a lot of empty at-bats in the bottom half of the order. And there will be days, especially against lesser pitching, when the top of the order, combined with maybe one night where you get 2 hits from Renifo or, a walk and a hit from David Hamilton, like that will be enough. There are nights where that will be enough. It will not be enough in the playoffs, even with the pitching as good as it is. And right now there's questions with the starting pitching as good as it is. I can't say that, so I'm going to stop trying. 608-321-1670. A couple of texts here. Last hour, I talked about how the Brewers are, I think, strategically managing Brandon Woodruff with the idea that he will be ready for the playoffs. How do we build the plane around that? And Johnny Cribbage says, Woodruff load managed smart. Okay. In NBA, terrible. Well, Brandon Woodruff's actually hurt. They didn't invent an injury. I don't know. I don't know that those two things are comparable. I understand that you're like, well, Grant, you hate the NBA. I mean, I do more often than not prefer the Stars to play in NBA games. So I guess you got me there. Brandon Woodruff's arm will probably fall off his body if he gets a normal workload. So I guess you got me. I'm a hypocrite, I guess. Load management sucks. Sit Brandon Woodruff all year. Guilty. Todd and Holman. Mizrowski reminds me of a young Josh Hader, except Miz is a starter and throws even harder than Hader did, but the dominance he pitches with is very similar, and batters hate facing him as much as they did. I think the thing that's probably most similar about Hader and Mizrowski, I'll give you two things. They both hide the ball exceptionally well, or it's difficult to spot coming out of the hand. Hader just came from such an angle as a lefty and brought the ball around in such a way where, I don't remember what Hader's velocity was at his peak, but it probably looked 2 or 3 miles per hour faster than it was just because of the way that it came out of his hand and it was tough to pick up. It's a weird angle. Mizrowski doesn't, I don't think he hides the ball as well, but he's 6'7". So the ball's not leaving his hand until he's almost, completely off the mound. So you're not picking that ball up until it's, close to home plate, and it's 103. I just don't know that there's much that you can do with that. Hader and Mizrowski are also similar in the way they can win in the zone. Like Mizrowski doesn't have to nibble around the corners. He's best when he does, and we've seen him do it, but he doesn't have to. Like, he can win in the zone with that stuff, and Murph's talked about it plenty. So there are definitely some Hader, similarities. The way their stuff plays and the reasons why it's effective. And the way they throw. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, it's Ron in Jersey, Grant. How's it going?
I'm doing great, Big Ron. How you been?
Good. I just tuned in, so I apologize if any of my comments are repetitive or already discussed.
There's always people doing the same thing, Big Ron. So if we talked about something at 4:15, that's not a big deal.
That's right. You got the drive time audience turnover, right?
Yeah.
So, look, both Jet Williams and Cooper Pratt have kind of found their sea legs down at AAA. They both have similar stats. And this is a little data that was going into the weekend, so I have not included their weekend stats. But going into the weekend, Jet Williams had an on-base percentage of .365. Cooper Pratt had an on-base of .351. They both had 5 home runs and 24 RBIs. I think it's time. I don't know if did you see that on social media? Like, they put the lowest on base plus slugging in all of Major League Baseball. Caleb Durbin was the lowest, and I think Renifo was 4th.
Yeah, it's the guy they shipped out, and then the couple guys they brought in to replace the guy they shipped out. They have a type over there on that side of the infield.
Yes, I'm just sick of those guys being a black hole. Renifo is on a 1-year, $3 million deal. You can easily just waive him, let someone else pick him up, let it be someone else's problem. $3 million is, even for people who hate Antanasio, that's kind of a drop in the bucket. So, and I'd bring one of those guys up. The other thing is, I called in on your show a couple of weeks ago saying that when Miz and Harrison pitch, take the first 5 innings team total under for the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
It's always 1.5. What changes is the juice. I would recommend your listeners with Harrison on the mound tonight, take the Cardinals' first 5 innings under 1.5 runs. You have to bet $11.50 to win 10. There's a little bit of juice on it, but not much. So it's -115.
It seems like it's good business. These two seem to be, and I knock on wood because I'd hate for Harrison to blow up tonight for the first time in forever, but it seems like those two are about as sturdy and steady as you can get. And Big Ron, I got to admit, yesterday watching Miz, it was kind of nice to follow the game, and especially once they got a couple runs in the first inning, it's like, okay, so the Brewers are going to win today. and I can go like get ready. I went golfing yesterday afternoon. I didn't watch the 8th and the 9th. Like I can just kind of this one's kind of in the books. You know what I mean? It's a great luxury.
Yeah, you can bet on Miz strikeout total. So, by the way, Harrison leads the National League in ERA, and Miz leads the National League in strikeouts. I think they're the best 1-2 punch right now in baseball. Of course, they're going to have one of them's going to blow up on one of these outings. You know, it could be tonight. You never know. But I'm 5-0 on my bets. You know, fading the other teams under. You know, and I'm on a roll. I'm going to ride it till it doesn't work.
Keep riding it. It's good business, Big Ron.
I'm going to keep riding it.
Hey, how was your? I didn't get to see you. I know it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. How was your son's graduation in Madison? Do you have a good trip when you were here?
It was great. I was telling Evo, man, they have this app now. It's called Line Leap app that you download on your phone.
Yeah.
And it's like a fast pass at Six Flags Great America or at Disney World, where you skip the lines. And to get into, so that, you know, most of the schools, like the business school and the nursing school and the letters and science, right, they had their graduations on Thursday afternoon. So to get into the college club and skip the line on that Thursday night was $250 per person. And those passes sold out in 5 minutes.
Don't you love that, by the way?
Sold out.
That's what our world's come to.
Like, are you kidding me? Like a $250 cover charge?
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't get you like free beer or anything.
No.
You still got to buy your, you know. So we bit the bullet and we paid $80 to get into the State Street Broth.
Oh, so you went on the cheap side, the $80 entrance fee to the bar. Okay, that was, I see.
Yeah, although I'll tell you what, it ended up being worth it because they have a normal Friday drink special, free beer, wine, and rails for $10, all you can drink.
Oh.
So it was $80 cover charge, and then it was another $10 on top of that for all you can drink. The bar closed. And believe me, I got my money's worth.
You got your fill.
I got my $90 in, man.
All right.
So,
well, that's the story like that breaks my heart, Big Ron. I'm glad you had a good time, and congrats to your family. We'll talk again soon.
All right, thanks for asking. Take care.
Can I just point something out? I'm glad that worked out for you, Big Ron. And there are easier ways to spend more money going out in Madison. I'm so sick. I am so sick of this stuff. And I have to defend my generation a little bit because every other day I pop up on Twitter and I see Kevin O'Leary or Mr. Wonderful or Dave Ramsey does this too, but I think Dave gets it more than some. These people who are 56, 60 and older, it's like all these young kids don't think they can buy a house. How about you stop getting coffee every day? It's like, I don't think you guys get it. I don't think you get it. There are kids that go to coffee shops, don't get me wrong. The reason that young people can't always afford stuff is not because they're buying toast with vegetables on it every day. It costs, what was the price? $200 to get into college club. It's not a strip club. It's not a bar. Harry Styles ain't playing in there. It's the college club, which is a bar that Dave from Ono always yells about that the players go to. They're spending their nil checks down at the KK club, as Dave would say. Like, I'm so sick of this stuff. Another thing, this is chat. I wasn't going to bring this up. I have been furious about this for like 2 straight weeks. I go to a lot of weddings because I'm that age. My friends are getting married. And all of you, anytime I have to miss a show to leave town for a wedding on a Friday because I got to leave at 3 p.m. or whatever to get for a rehearsal dinner or something, all of you get up my butt. Oh, you have another wedding? Do you guys understand people get married? Like once, and I'm not yelling at the older crowd here. I'm sorry to do this, but you realize that once you got married, people didn't stop getting married. There's lots of weddings going on. People in their mid to late 20s, early 30s are getting married all the time. I'm a social person. I go to a lot of weddings. That's fine. You wouldn't. I don't understand. The United States government is looking into the NFL right now. And I think it's a political ploy or whatever. It's certainly a political move because the broadcast partners like CBS and probably especially Fox, right? Rupert Murdoch's a conservative fella. That's not politically slanted comment. That's just true. Trump and Rupert Murdoch, although I'm sure they've disagreed on some things, I would probably think are allies. Yes. Am I offending you? Anybody? No. I think this is all very reasonable. I would imagine little old Roop called up old Donald, President Trump, and was like, hey, the streamers are boning us. We have a contract with the NFL that runs more years, and they want to get out of it to make more money from Amazon, Google, Netflix, can you please stop this? So President Trump says, I'm doing my friend Rupert a favor. I'm going to open we're going to do a thing. And then Trump can tell the people in media, hey, I did you that favor. So can you not, pork me on the, Fox and Friends or whatever. You know how this works. So the government is looking into the NFL and we're investigating this. Nothing will happen probably, but it's a thing. When they're done with that, I need the government to look into the hotel business. I can't believe it. Every time I go to a wedding, it's $200 at least. And I split rooms with a friend or I split rooms with a date. It's like we're going to a wedding in Milwaukee in mid-June. And the invite's like, hey, use the discount code. We have a block of rooms at the hotel. It's not at the Four Seasons. It's at like the La Quinta Inn. It's like, yeah, one night that'll be $391. It's like you have to. Are you joking me? Are you kidding me? You go to a wedding in St. Paul. Oh, it's in downtown St. Paul. Yeah, it'll be $400 for the night. We were talking to a friend this last weekend. Yeah, we have a wedding in Bayfield. Oh, small town. That'll be cheaper. Oh, Nate, no. It's actually $500 a night. Well, what are you to do? It's the only hotel around. It's summertime. It's busy. I just... Gas prices are just the start of it. It was just the start of it. Stop buying avocado toast. I don't know the last time I had avocado toast. I didn't make it home. I haven't been to a coffee. I don't know the last time I went to a coffee shop. Grant's generation. They're poor. They can't afford anything because they keep getting coffee and bread at these little niche shops. So what if I want a cup of coffee every couple of weeks? It's not my right. No, I can't because I got to spend $400 on a hotel room in Bayfield. I'll sleep in my car before I spend that. It's just, oh yeah, get the Line Leap app. It's really convenient. It's really nice. It only costs $80 to get into State Street brats. Okay. Which, by the way, you will pay through the nose on drinks too at these Madison bars. Because I opened this can of worms, I think I have to keep this can open for at least one call. We'll see if I get yelled at here. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. This is Riley.
Hey, Riley. What's going on? Riley in Michigan. What's going on?
Have you seen this Josh Jacobs news?
I just opened it. Okay, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh!
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So should I stop my hotel rant and discuss this?
Well, as far as your hotel rant goes, people need to start booking Arizona summertime weddings. It might be miserable to do it outside, but I can tell you firsthand, the hotel prices are much better.
Yeah. We'll just go down and visit Cone Roller for a wedding. How does that sound?
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad idea.
All right, Riley, I hate to do this to you. I got to go. If I were to bet right now, if I were to place a bet right now, I would bet that Josh Jacobs never plays a snap for the Green Bay Packers again. I'll tell you why coming up next. Great.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin weather doesn't ease you into spring. It keeps you guessing. That's why your windows and doors need to handle everything. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, we build for year-round comfort. Get the look you want for the home you love with 0% financing options available. So you can upgrade now and pay over time. Plus, enjoy a free at-home consultation, expert installation, and a 10-year limited warranty. Schedule today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Offer expires May 31st, 2026.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
All right, Wisco Sports Show, welcome back. Told you had some breaking news on the other side of the break. I was hoping for some Packers news today because OTAs begins. No coaches speak or players speak until tomorrow. Tomorrow's the first practice open to the media. So I was starting to think, we wouldn't get any Packers news today, but we got some Packers news. Breaking news, Josh Jacobs has been arrested and booked into jail on 5 charges. I'll read you the release from the Hobart Lawrence Police Department. For immediate release on May 23rd, 2026 at approximately 8:37 a.m., the Hobart Lawrence Police Department was dispatched to a disturbance complaint involving Josh Jacobs. As a result of the investigation, Josh Jacobs was subsequently arrested on May 26th, 2026, and booked into the Brown County Jail on the following charges: battery-domestic abuse, criminal damage to property - domestic abuse, disorderly conduct - domestic abuse, strangulation and suffocation, and intimidation of a victim. This remains an active and ongoing investigation. No further information will be released at this time. Chief Michael Renkus, the Hobart Lawrence Police Department. Now, Josh Jacobs' lawyer put out a statement, as they do. Says Josh vehemently denies the allegations, and this matter is in the early stages of investigation with important evidence that has been yet to made public. That has not yet been made public. We ask for fairness and restraint while the judicial process takes its course. These lawyers, they're lawyers from Las Vegas. Is that where he lives in the offseason? I guess maybe because he played for the Raiders. Doesn't matter. If I had to place a bet right now, I'd bet that he's done. And that he doesn't play for the Packers again. I guess there were some local Green Bay people on Twitter, like burner accounts, that were tweeting about this weekend, that Josh Jacobs was in a little bit of trouble. I guess he surrendered himself to the police. I'm just whipping and scrolling for anything I can find. Jacobs, vehemently denies the investigation. Adam Schefter's report says, after a complaint on May 23rd and a subsequent investigation, Packers running back Josh Jacobs is arrested this morning and booked into Brown County Jail on 5 charges. Battery, domestic abuse, criminal damage to property, disorderly conduct, strangulation and suffocation, and intimidation of a victim. Kind of hit for the cycle there, didn't you, Josh? Okay. So anyways, I don't know. What do you want? What do you want? Some emotional plea? I got nothing for you other than if that's true. I mean, if that's true on any level, he's probably done. Yeah, I guess he's probably done. So there's your Packers news. Matt LaFleur heads to the podium in less than 24 hours. And the Packers locker room will be open tomorrow, unless they change stuff. I think Matt LaFleur has to take the podium. I don't think they can switch that up tomorrow. Maybe they don't open the locker room because they don't want players to be asked about this. I don't know. I was trying to think of what Packers PR would have up their sleeve. I mean, they had to be aware of this before today. So Matt LaFleur will speak tomorrow. They'll have practice, and then the locker room will be open for reporters. I don't know. I don't know. That's about as bad as it gets. So here's the thing. When the lawyer says there's important evidence that has not come out yet, unless that evidence is all of these charges were completely and totally fabricated, like, I don't know what evidence would change it, you know? Like, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But that's the Josh Jacobs news. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if Josh Jacobs was released by tomorrow. I don't know. With the way the Packers operate, I guess we'll see. They could use running back help. But Marshawn Lloyd, remember, was sent out west. So we should be good there. And Cone texts in, and this was my first thought too. He says, at least we have a training camp storyline. Thank goodness Goody traded draft picks for a kicker. Spare running back wouldn't hurt right now. That was my first football thought too. Obviously, it's a very human story, and you hope everyone involved is okay. But that's my thought too. Shallow running back room. I wouldn't be surprised if he's released by tomorrow morning when Bill goes on the air. But we'll see. Matt LaFleur takes the podium tomorrow afternoon. That press conference just got a lot juicier. There's going to be a lot more eyeballs on that. I mean, we were going to be all over it anyways because love a good Matt LaFleur press conference, especially as OTAs gets underway. All right. We'll wrap things up. I'll give you another thought or two on this. I have an NBA thought on half of the NBA Finals. That has been set. And that'll probably do it. We'll get ready for Brewers Cardinals later tonight. Kyle Harrison on the mound. Final thoughts next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Nick Sogard is Caleb Durbin with slightly different skills. I mean, Sogard's faster, right? Like he's got really good speed, but they're kind of the same caliber of player. The fact that you gave up a pretty good pitching, a young left-handed arm like Kyle Harrison for someone who is basically Nick Sogard.
Yep, that's right.
I mean, that's basically what Caleb Durbin is.
Yeah.
Who just had a good year for a team last year in Milwaukee who knew how to use him. But you just look at him in a vacuum. That's what he is. 4A player with no real plus skills.
Same level of player. Yes.
Durbin's a really good fielder. Maybe Sogard does a little bit more with the bat, but net, they're the same guy.
Exactly right. And that's what you traded Kyle Harrison for.
Oh, my God. Brutal.
That guy might win the freaking Cy Young with the way he's going. I'm not joking. He looks ridiculous.
All right, Wisco Sports Show. Last couple of minutes. I saved that cut. Cracked me up. Anytime Felger and Maz discuss Caleb Durbin over in Boston. Kyle Harrison on the hill for the Brewers tonight. The breaking news is Josh Jacobs has been arrested on 5 different counts, all related to domestic assault. And that's all we really know. His lawyers say that they're denying the allegations. Mike Clemens is here. Mike, I appreciate you calling in. I don't expect you to have any details. Maybe any context of when you've covered this around NFL teams and the way the Packers operate in scenarios like this before. Does anything come to mind?
I have. I just got the press release from Hobart and Lawrence, Wisconsin. A lot of players live in that Hobart area, not far from the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, it's like it's a category on Jeopardy, running backs for bail money for $500, Alex. And,
yeah.
And, Amon Green went through this almost 20 years ago, where the wife called in. The evidence was the wall that he punched out by the garage door. But she claimed of strangulation and physicality in a domestic dispute, etc. Another arrest was Aaron Jones was leaving a Sunday brunch like as a rookie, and he got pulled over for the gun. She got pulled over bad driving and tested positive for pot.
Mm-hmm.
But that it's like the Packers have gone a long time before they've had any current players that got into trouble, but this is pretty serious.
Do you think he's on? Well, I guess there's a million questions.
I think it's going to take a couple of days for things to play out, and judging, what Josh is like in terms of his character and frankly, his need on the team. I would be shocked if he's, released in 24 hours. But the other thing is, when I talk about the Amon Green situation from 20 years ago, a lot of things have changed in the world in the last 20 years.
Yeah. What kind of thing do you think we get from Matt LaFleur at the podium tomorrow?
We're aware of it. We're looking into it. There's not much else I can say about it. We're waiting for to hear from the league. What can he say?
Yeah.
What can he say? And I don't think he's going to talk about. We all know what a great guy Josh is, and endorse him as a teammate and as a player.
Yeah.
We're talking to Matt at 11 o'clock on the practice field. Then we get to watch practice. Videotaping is limited. I don't know why, but I think they'll keep us in there so that we can watch these workouts between the veterans and the rookies as they get their first sessions of OTAs in, and just get a new Jonathan Gannon defense installed. And then we'll talk to some of the players. And we were going to talk about Tyrod Taylor and Zaire Franklin, but I guess we'll have other things to talk about.
Is Jordan Love there? Is he gonna be there tomorrow?
Should be.
Okay.
Should be, even though I had the baby over the weekend, baby girl, right?
I believe
yeah,
so.
baby girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time, Mike. The next 24 hours just changed timbre quite a bit. I know we were excited for Matt LaFleur and then open locker room and practice tomorrow, and I guess this is now just a part of that. So anytime you have tomorrow, I think you said you were planning to check in on Bill's show, but anytime you have to check in and give us the latest tomorrow, we look forward to talking.
Always interesting. 24/7, 365 when you cover the NFL.
Agreed, Mike. Have a good night. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Grant.
Beautifully timed, Mike Clemens. He texted me. He said he was driving, and he said, "I heard you tease it going into break." I don't think I've ever teased anything that hard. I said, "Hey, if what I'm reading is true, Josh Jacobs may be done playing in the NFL. We'll be right back. I'll tell you why." Like, that's dirty work, but you got to do it. It's a business. So appreciate Mike Clemens giving us 2 minutes there. I think if he's a bottom of the roster guy, he's off the team tonight. And that's the cold reality of the way the league works and the sport works. Yeah. Different talent, different investment level means there's a different standard for different players. So Brewers Cardinals tonight. We will discuss that tomorrow. I would recommend the Bill Michaels show tomorrow. Bill's been covering and talking about the Packers for a long time. He'll be a good voice on this Josh Jacobs thing as OTAs get started. So we'll pick that up tomorrow at 10. Ewell will be back tomorrow as well. Thank you for listening.